Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of The Snake Pit. I'm your host, Son of Bat, and I'm here with Son of Phantom. And today we're going to be talking about the 1991 slasher film Popcorn. Written by Mitchell Smith, directed by Mark Harrier, screenplay by Todd Hackett, and starring Jill Sholin, Tom Villard, D. Wallace Stone, Derek Rydell, Elliot Hurst, Kelly Jo Mittner, Malcolm Darian, Ray Walton, and Tony Roberts. This is kind of like a meta slasher movie. It's a quick rundown of the plot. It's like about this film group in college, and they gotta like put on like an exhibit to show that their class is worth keeping for the next semester. So they go to this old theater and they dress it up, and the whole gimmick is they're going to be showing a triple feature of 1950s horror films that all in of themselves have their own gimmicks akin to the William Castle movies like House on Haunted Hill. But while this is all going on, a slasher prowls the theater, and there's a mystery film by a weird Manson-type director named Lanyard Gates. A lot of wild stuff, so we'll just dive in. What was your first thoughts about this movie?
It's a great movie. I was impressed. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was going in. And, yeah, had a great plot. Good gore effects, good prosthetics, you know.
Oh yeah, the prosthetics were amazing in this movie.
It was a really I was impressed with it, and I think it's one of the higher rated ones so far, the ones I've reviewed.
All right, that's a fair assessment. Honestly, like I said it in the Nightmare on Elm Street 4 video. In the late 80s, especially by the early 90s, there was a serious burnout with slasher movies, and this is one of those examples where a lot of people love to shit on the 90s, but like I look at something like this and I'm like, there was some really good shit there. Like the killer in this movie, Toby, our boy Toby, yo.
Boy Toby.
This guy, man,
diabolical.
Like, holy shit. He was such a good actor. Like he killed this role. Like it's weird too because there's a few of these slasher movies where it isn't a dude in a mask, it's some burnt guy. You know what I mean? Like, and but he killed it. Like, I mean, you had Freddy, who his acting was really good and made that role. Bad Dreams, you had a burn guy who's not really that memorable, but this one, Toby, was fucking crazy. Like,
he was memorable. Like he murked a bunch of people really well. Like, putting
yeah,
on
the
people's
kills were
faces.
so creative.
He was like making everyone think he was a different person the whole time with a prosthetic mask.
The work in the prosthetics was amazing. Like
ripping his face off like 4 times. That was pretty crazy.
And it's like it didn't even matter that they gave away his real face, because like I always find it funny that like when he was making out with that chick when he was dressed up as like the teacher dude, and she rips his face off. That's the first time we see him. And then, like, he goes back to the disguise of, like, an older Lanyard Gates to trick the main girl. I think her name was Sarah.
Yeah.
And he like, tricks her, and then he's, like, does, ta-da, the big reveal again. And it's like, we already saw it. But it was so cool seeing him flip through all the faces that I didn't even give a shit. Like, I'm like, yeah, man, do it again. Keep doing it. Like, it's crazy. Like, the funny shit when he's, like, yelling at her and the ears are, like, slapping back and forth and shit. Like, oh. And the contacts were fucking nuts, too, that this guy had. The green and red fucking eyes. Like, holy shit.
Like, with all the prosthetics off of him, he looks scary. Like a scary villain, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And like trying to put myself in
and
his...
like you said, the acting was so good.
Yeah, like
really good.
When
like,
he gave his little
part.
monologue about like what it was like growing up after, like, okay, so I guess we're gonna have to go a little bit more into the plot. Like, this girl Sarah's having these dreams about like this weird surreal film that turns out to be a real film made by this like Manson guy, like Lanyard Gates, in the 60s, and apparently it resulted in people dying in the theater, getting burned up. Well, Toby was one of the people who got burned up in the theater. That's why he's changing faces and stuff. So when he's given his like monologue about like his life post-fire, it was kind of tragic, and it made him even more fucked up. He's like talking about putting his face together every day before he went to school, and it's like the guy was insane, like fucking insane. Like, holy shit. And even the other cast members too, like all the film nerds, like I like them. They were all funny, man. Like That one scene that got me is when he's like switched faces with the guy dressed up as the dude in the straitjacket, and he's going to take a piss, and then he just looks him dead in the face
And starts
just
pissing on his leg. Yeah. Oh, that one was so funny.
Oh man! And then there was like that weird supernatural part that came up out of nowhere, because like this is a slasher movie, but at some point, like fairly early on, there was some weird supernatural shit going on about the
Totally
the
unexplained too.
Yeah, no, and it never happened again. Like it never happened again, which I thought was cool. The other thing I loved about this movie was the small 1950s and early 60s type horror movies they made for the marathon. Like,
Yeah.
it felt like watching 4 movies at once at times.
Yeah, totally. It was totally like a movie inside a movie feel, like the whole time as well.
Oh yeah,
Very
like,
interesting.
and I wish some of these were real. Like that mosquito one in the beginning was really cool. But funny enough, there's a 90s movie actually I do have called Mosquito that's kind of like that, but it's like super gory and shit. So that makes me amped to check out something like Mosquito. There was like The Amazing Electrified Man, which was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like fucking there was the Stench, that Japanese one, which of course like
Of
something
course.
about foul odors are coming out of someone's body. It's got to be like a foreign Japanese movie. No offense. But yeah, no, like I was reading in the facts too. Apparently, like 3 weeks into shooting, one of the main chicks, I think it was the blonde chick, she got replaced, and I kind of booked it. Like I kind of noticed it, like there was like a face change, but like you still also don't really notice it. You know what I mean? So like that was pretty funny to find out. This came out before Wes Craven's New Nightmare and Scream, so I always, whenever I show this movie, like when I showed it to you, I was saying like it's like Scream, but it came out before. That's literally the selling point I had on it, because the self-awareness to horror movies was just so awesome. The attention to detail with like the posters in the theater, it was, you had like The Incredible Melting Man and The Tingler, which The Tingler, if I remember correctly, remember my horror history, is one of those movies where I think it had the electric seat gimmick, kind of like the movie in Popcorn, but I don't remember. It was just something like that, but that was really cool to see. Everyone like was, and the funny thing too is this is supposed to take place in California. It was filmed in Jamaica, and you'd tell by the soundtrack it was all reggae.
You can
music.
tell by the trees and the vegetation
wild.
everywhere. It's so funny.
Then like I can't remember what Sarah's boyfriend's name was. What was it? Fucking
Actor was
it was like Derek something.
Derek
It was
Rydell.
Mark. He
Yeah.
played this guy, Mark. This guy takes the biggest ass whooping in the whole movie. Like from
so much. He takes so much. He
And,
gets
like, it's
thrown
so
down
funny.
the stairs. He gets
he gets punched in the face. He gets fucking like he apparently goes over a fence that like sliced him, and then a Doberman attacked him. Just like. And then we find out he's the stunt guy. So he did like all the stunts.
the most impressive stunt was he climbed like 60 feet up that building, like just.
Oh shit, yeah.
And that was like, you didn't like, that was just a free shot. You didn't see anything.
And like
below.
watching the movie too, because we didn't know he was a stunt guy when we watched it. We just were like, yo, this guy's been taking a wicked beating the whole movie. How shitty would it be if he's scaling this wall and he just ate it on the way down or something, man? Like, holy fuck. No, but he had it. He was a stunt man. He knew what he was doing, and like that was funny to see like that role played out. It was cool, you know. Like everyone in this movie seemed like they had fun. It was a fucking awesome movie. The kills, again, it's a slasher, but the kills weren't like conventional slasher movie kills. Like you got a guy impaled by a giant mosquito. That actually happened a couple times. And then like, and even in the
rage
movie,
scene,
oh my God.
when the antagonist dies, is so funny. He's just like he's trying to recreate the movie that had everyone killed in the beginning, like the family.
Oh my God, this guy was like such a spurg, man. Like he,
You're
ruining it. You're ruining it. Oh my
so
God,
funny.
it made
Oh
like
my
his
God.
insanity. But again, like, and that's not even like a diss on our boy Tom Villard there, like, cause he killed it. It made the character that much more unhinged. It was like the guy had a personality disorder. He had like borderline autism. He had like rage issue. Like it was crazy watching him just unravel. And the whole audience is watching this thinking it's part of the show, just cheering it on. And he's going fucking berserk. It was like so funny. Like, yeah, no, like this was a wild movie. I really enjoyed some of the lighting that came up too. Like the scene when Suzanne goes to the theater with the gun, when that supernatural shit starts happening, like they used a lot of really cool black and green, like a lot of just green lights happening, Then that scene happened, that jump scare with the hands ripping
Oh,
through
it
the
actually
fucking
it
wall.
got me. It was a good jump scare. It was unexpected, and they didn't try and do it like over and over. It was tasteful. Like I thought the whole movie really was well done.
Yeah, no, it was great. It's like, and like I was saying, because it's been said before, might as well just say it again. A lot of these slasher movies, they are enjoyable, but a lot of them, like especially the in between ones, aren't very good. This is one of the ones where they put care into it. It wasn't a sleazy slasher. I mean, sleazy is cool. I love sleazy flicks, but this felt like it should have had a wider theatrical release. And I think when we were reading on some of the facts, this movie got pushed to second rate theaters. It like literally did not get a chance when it came out. And even when it came out on DVD, it was like released I think in 2001, and then it was just out of print for a
16
long time.
years.
Yeah, like, and then it finally got released by Synapse here, and they always clean up the movies, but I don't know if it was them cleaning it up. Like, even if the movie looked how it did on the VHS transfers, because I haven't seen them, this movie just felt competent. It felt like a studio budgeted, like, and it's weird because back in the day, a studio budgeted movie is a pretty good thing, not like today, but this felt like it had money behind it. It felt like people gave a shit when they made it. It wasn't just like, we're gonna fill up on gore and tits. Like, they had a good story. It felt like an acid trip for a fucking good chunk of it. It was
The beginning
super
was
trippy,
really
like,
trippy.
and you don't really see that a lot with slasher movies. I mean, it kind of had an Argento feel in some respects.
Had this like acid cult that like was killing people, and then the mom of this
I
child.
always love a Manson subplot in these movies.
Crazy.
It's just so fucking wild.
So cool. Oh man.
And again, the prosthetics were great. Like this guy Toby's face, like he was doing face switches. Like we said, we were going off about it, but he was doing face switches throughout this whole movie, and it was a gimmick in and of itself, and a movie about gimmicks and spoofing gimmicks in the horror genre. That gimmick they used of his face switching was so cool, and like, it was a good way to go around using actors that were already there and be like, oh yeah, it's the effects, but like, I don't know, it was just cool. I'm not a makeups guy, I'm probably explaining it terribly. It just looked fucking cool. Like,
yeah, really well done.
Like most of these movies, it's a guy in a rubber mask or a hockey mask or some shit. This was just a different
all the camera
way of
angles
doing
are lazy. Like, it
Yeah.
was good. It was just like all the shots were thought out.
And also the respect paid again to the 1950s and 60s B movies. Like, that was so cool to see too. Like, it kind of reminded me of Creepshow in a way, where like you had so much going on in one story. Like, it's almost like the slasher story was the wraparound, and the three little stories took up most of the time. You know what I mean? Which, because like at some points I'd be like, oh, I forgot this was a slasher. This is like, we've been on the Mosquito for how long now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that was really cool too. I believe, and I think I said this in a previous video for Black Christmas, Bob Clark was supposed to direct it, but he instead passed it over to a friend, which is pretty cool because fucking Bob Clark made some banger horror movies like I went off about in the Black Christmas video. And yeah, this is just, I personally like this movie about as much as I like New Nightmare. Scream is a little too overrated in my opinion. I mean, even though I own a Ghostface mask, it's on my fucking hat and shit, I just always felt like the way Scream went, like, it's too much, you know what I mean? This as a self-contained one-off, and the fact that it didn't spoof slasher movies, it spoofed movies from decades way, way back was just really cool. Like, I don't know, you don't see it a lot like that. The fact that they passed off Jamaican...
And they didn't do it as a joke. Like, it was serious the
Yeah,
whole time.
like,
It was like...
There was a couple snarky, like, film-type comments and jokes, you know what I mean? But, like, that's as far as... like, it really made me think of Scream 2 when they're all in the college class and they're, like, talking about movies and shit and sequels. Like, it was kind of like that vibe. It wasn't, like, over the top. Like, there was comedic elements, sure, but it was, like... It was through and through just like a popcorn movie, you know what I mean? You just went in, you had a good fucking time, and you didn't really think too much about it. You just rolled with it, and it was just great. This is one of my favorite slasher movies, and this is one of my favorite, like, 90s horror movies. Like, the 90s had a whole bunch of great ones. Like, that one we saw, Brain Dead, with Bill Pullman was fucking crazy, too.
Great movie.
But... yeah, it's a decade that unfortunately I feel like nobody really delves into, but they all will gladly hop on the bandwagon and be like, well, everyone else says the 90s sucks, so I'm just going to say it. Nah, man, like, if you look deep enough, you will find stuff like Popcorn, and I hope to dig more into it because from what I've seen, like in some of the '90s shit, there's some pretty cool stuff out there. Like The Relic, that's another cool one.
Relic's a great film.
Fucking
we
Final
should do that
Destination.
one.
Like you had like all these sick things coming out. I swear, even one of the X-Files movies came out in the '90s too. Like you had a couple decent slash. I personally don't think it got really shitty until Miramax and those companies took the basic idea of Scream and they kind of repackaged that with all their movies, like fucking I Know What You Did Last Summer and like Mind Hunters and like, The Faculty was okay because that was a sci-fi one, but they did this thing where they basically just got all the major teen actors and they were like, oh, let's just put them in these like snarky, self-aware movies. Like this just actually, instead of feeling like taking these movies down a peg, it just felt like a love letter to those original movies. And I fucking loved it. I hope more people can check this movie out. I definitely highly recommend it. If you were to rate this on a scale from 1 to 10, like how would you rate this?
I'd probably rate this like a 9.
9?
Yeah.
Would you say there's like any rewatchability for anybody? What would you say would be the main selling point to this if you were to like pitch it to somebody?
It's just a great like horror slasher or multi-genre movie. It's just good. Has
All right.
great effects. Like 9 all around. Just good.
All right, you know what? I'm going to do the unoriginal thing here. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give this a solid 9. I don't know. Like 10 is one of those things where like I feel like
not many movies achieve it.
Yeah, you
and
know
it's
what I
like
mean?
a very personal.
And I don't want to throw out 10s and shit because this isn't something I've seen. Like, okay, like Cannibal Holocaust, I gave that a 10 because I've seen it like fucking 10, 13 times.
I would
my
recommend
whole life.
this movie like over and over. I would watch this again.
I could see this becoming a 10. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, give it a few years. Like, I can
Once
see
that has
this
nostalgia for me, maybe. But,
yeah, like if you like, it's one of those things where like in a couple years, if I catch myself watching it more and more down the road, this may be a 10. But as of right now, yeah, the acting was great, the effects. Every time I've seen this movie like 3-4 times now, every time I see it, it's always the effects that sell me. Like I know that performance that Toby or Tom Villard, Toby's character, fucking gives is Toby. Like, bro, the guy is demented and kind of scary at some points, and like,
really
which is
scary.
cool because I mean, a lot of these slasher movies, they're not really scary. It's just some like fat guy trying to slash up fucking college chicks. You know what I mean? This was a genuinely demented killer that like and also like he's in one movie, so you can't really rate him with like the other like the massive franchise greats. But Toby. God damn it, Toby deserves a place, man. Give Toby a place, bro. The man died of AIDS. He earned his keep, bro. Why you holding back on Tobbs, bro? Like, I'm sorry, but like, I haven't seen a killer that crazy like since Maniac or something. You know what I mean? Like Freddy, like this wasn't even like Freddy. Like sure, he had a couple funny lines when he was just like, "Fortunately, you got out of the theater."
I didn't.
You don't know. He's like, "Luckily for you, you got out. Unluckily for me,
yeah,
I did it." And it's like he was so serious, and it was such a fucked up story. But like that, it was like it's not even a real word. But god damn it, you're so terrifying that yeah, you can have that, bro. Unluckily, sure, bro. Like again, man, like. I feel like more people should see this fucking movie. Like, it's super trippy. If you like Argento style of filming with the crazy colors and the lights, you're gonna fucking love this. If you like 50s throwback movies, you're gonna love this. If you like slasher movies, you're gonna fucking love. Like, there's just too much not to like with it. It's got some good comedy too. It's like, it's a good fucking popcorn movie. 9 across the board. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys enjoy, a little fried right now. If you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that. We'll be here for a next one. Peace.
Peace.